Evening, guys. Okay, so it's 8:30 on the 1st of November 2024. I was going to start investigating crimes that have never been solved, and go back through history and where a police constable was murdered on Hanover Street in Liverpool in the early 1900s, and then go from there. But I might do that later at another stage. What I'm looking at now, what I'm pissed off with now, is there's a recent case, it's still being investigated, where Merseyside Police beat up, they tortured a guy called David Brown whilst he was in police custody. They tortured him, beat him up, and I believe it was the day he got released, he died, he dropped dead. Which was on the 21st of August this year, 2024. I know now, because I've got people who are in Walton Prison or HMP Liverpool who've been in contact with me, where a certain individual has recently been tortured by the police. They put a spit bag over this inmate's head. This person who's reached out to me hasn't been charged with a crime, by the way. He's currently being remanded. They can't find the evidence to prosecute him for what they wanted to prosecute him for. So now they're trying to keep him in longer and make up blag charges to keep him remanded longer while they try and fabricate evidence, is what it looks like to me. I've got solicitors involved. I'm speaking with solicitors on Monday to try and help this person. But what they done was that this other guy, they nearly killed him, the person who reached out to me. They tortured him, beat him up, twisted his arm, nearly broke his arms. He wasn't even resisting arrest, but they were shouting "stop resisting" just as a play up for the cameras and the CCTV in the police station. They put a spit bag over his head to stop him breathing, to suffocate him. He didn't even try and spit at them. They were just trying to suffocate him. They were also doing what the British military were doing in Afghanistan, I believe it was, and in Iraq, which was known as waterboarding, where it's a form of torture where you pour water over people's heads so they can't breathe. So there's two types of torture there Merseyside Police are involved in, and they've almost killed this other person. So they obviously haven't learned the lesson. They've killed David Brown. It's still being investigated, a 41-year-old man. And they tried to say he had drugs in he swallowed drugs when they arrested him, and the drugs burst and killed him. That's not true at all. The post-mortem proves that that wasn't the case. The police are just trying to blag their way out of their own crimes. And this is why I'm fighting this now, because I'm pissed off with a dirty, scumbag, corrupt organisation that people look up to for help. And they're the worst fucking criminals out there. Horrible little rats. And when people say police are bully victims, that is 100% true. There are good police officers out there, male and female, but the majority, that's only a minority, the majority are bully victims. They've either been a victim of hate crime growing up or in their life, or bullied, or maybe their partner wears the pants in their household. There's some mental reason behind why they abuse their powers. When you look at police, really, they have no real powers. It was Sir Robert Peel who set up the police force in England in the late 1800s, I believe it was. And because none of the British public spoke out or challenged the laws that were being passed, that's why we have police today. That law was passed because nobody challenged it all the way back then, because no one knew that they could challenge laws back then. And that's why we all have to adhere to police rules and laws and regulations and this and that today, and police have certain powers where they can arrest today because of that law that was passed all the way back then. But even if you say to the police officer, "Now I don't consent to you having these powers," there's nothing we can do. And that's all because the British public didn't challenge the laws that were being passed back then. So when laws are being passed now, this is why we get people to sign petitions and try and fight these laws that are being passed to take away our basic rights and freedoms. What they're trying to do is make the world like a total police state, police and military state, where you pretty much won't be able to do anything. If you've heard of George Orwell, he wrote a book in the early 1900s called 1984, and there is a film that came out in 1984 of it. And now, if you look in November, I think it's late November this year, in the Playhouse Liverpool Theatre, they're doing a play on it, 1984. Not that I'm promoting it for them to get sold tickets or whatever, but what that's about, it's basically about the thought police. If they think you're guilty of something, you might not have done anything at all, but the thought police come after you because they think you're going to commit a crime. What the hell is that about? But when you look at the world today, that's what it is like today. If you remember the Sylvester Stallone film in the 90s, Demolition Man, that's based around the same theme, 1984. Do you remember in Demolition Man, all the people who were rebellious, like people like me, went underground eating rat burgers and bloody just trying to survive? But they were looked at as the bad guys when really they were the good guys fighting the system. But if you remember in Demolition Man, every time someone swore, they got a fine. And if you look at China today, that's what they want for the rest of the world by 2030 is what they're trying to do. They tried to bring it in by 2021 by fabricating the virus and all this crap that they were going on about. But if you look back 10 years earlier, they tried the same in 2009 with swine flu. They tried to scare the whole world. But because not many people got that vaccine, that's why they fabricated the whole COVID crap. But they pumped up all that fear and to make everyone queue up. Oh, if you don't do this and do that, you're risking my health, all this nonsense. It's total madness, but people fall for it. I know those idiots that are out there who fall for it, they call the likes of me a tinfoil hat nutter, but I look at them and think, you're the tinfoil nutter because you're the one who believes everything the government and the news media are telling you, with no evidence whatsoever, no evidence. Now, look, I'm not a doctor, but I know doctors are yes men, yes women, arse lickers. They're just following their hierarchy. So whatever they get told, it's like the pyramid structure of power, like the Freemasons using the Illuminati and all this stuff, secret fucking devil worship and cults. That's basically what it boils down to. There's the hierarchy system, and the people at the top give orders to the people below them. And they are, like the NHS during the lockdowns, they were yes men, yes women, arse lickers, didn't give a shit about human life, didn't warn people, don't get the jabs, don't do this, it's not being tested, that the government and the news are lying to you, because they didn't care. They thought, well, if I speak out, I'm going to lose my job, and then I'm going to lose my mortgage. Listen, if that was me, I don't give a shit about a mortgage or my job. Human life is more important than a mortgage or a job. Anyone with morals and values and ethics would see that, but the NHS is not about that. Everything, when you look at everything after 2012, something has happened in the world where everything seems to have gone upside down and backwards. Everyone you're supposed to have trusted, they're the bad guys. Before that, to be fair, look at Harold Shipman, what he done when he was in the NHS. Lucy Letby more recently. That little dirty scumbag copper, Wayne Couzens, who raped and tortured that woman, Sarah Everard, in London during the lockdowns, and then tried to cover it up. There's so much police corruption out there, and the Independent Police Complaints Commission are not doing their job. They're supposed to be impartial to the police constabularies, but they're not. It's like when you work for a company and you've got a HR department. They're supposed to work sort of impartially between the employee, the staff, which is yourselves, and the management, or the company, the directors. to try and find a balance to make sure disputes are resolved, but they don't. HR departments are always in favour of the company because it's the company who are paying their wages, and it's similar to the Independent Police Complaints Commission or the Commissioner of each constabulary. It's just a front. They're there to make it look like they're doing something, but they're not. They're getting paid by the same people that the police are getting paid by, and it's all down to our tax money. So what I'm trying to do now is stop or fight what's going on, because I don't agree with it. I train people to always have a duty of care for anyone. If you arrest someone, make sure you have a duty of care for that male or female subject whilst they're in your custody, and then you'll transfer them over to the police. But somebody needs to take responsibility for who is training the police the way they are. It's not just Merseyside Police, it's police all over the world. But if we can make a start here and try and stop the madness, then at least we can say it's a start. But yeah, that poor lad, David Brown, murdered in police custody a couple of months ago. And this other guy who's reached out to me recently, he's currently in jail, being remanded. Hasn't been charged because they can't get him on anything. But they tortured him. And then in the yard, in the police station out the back, when he was having a smoke, because he refused to get his fingerprints taken, a load of police officers came out, tortured him, and threw water over his head, which is classed as waterboarding, which is, that is a crime against, it's not just, it's a crime against humanity. It's not just torture, not that torture's normal anyway. It's the worst kind. And somebody needs to fight this. Somebody needs to put a stop to these little scumbags that are in the police that should not be police officers. The power's gone to their head. In classes I teach about, in the 70s in Stanford University in America, there was, it's known as the Stanford Prison Experiment, where a tutor or a lecturer or a teacher, similar to myself, he split his class into two groups, and he put half of them in a real prison. The other half, he gave them prison officer uniforms, made them prison officers. After a couple of weeks, they were torturing their own friends. They got off on that power and authority. And every class I teach, I always talk about the dangers of putting the wrong person in a uniform and giving them that little bit of power, and it goes to their head. And that's exactly what's happening with Merseyside Police. I can only fight Merseyside Police because I'm in Liverpool. Other people, hopefully it'll spread further and we can put a stop to this crap. But there's no way, they're not getting away with this, no way. Lives shouldn't be lost in custody. No matter how challenging you find someone whilst they're in your custody, you still have that duty of care to ensure their welfare, their safety, no matter what, even if they are being abusive or just a challenging behaviour. You've got no right to hurt them. Who are you to think you've got that right to hurt someone whilst they're in your custody? You've taken away the freedom already. You're going to prosecute them through the CPS. That's your intention. But you think you've got the right to behave like a power-hungry, dirty, disgusting little Nazi and torture people? Well, no, you're not. Because now I'm getting involved and I won't let you get away with it. Dirty little piglets. So we're fighting back. Speak to you soon.